Welcome back to another Off-Pow YouTube video. Today I'm headed over from the Kyoto station over to Tanashi, which is a city about half an hour west of Tokyo, and I'm going to check out a Franck Muller watch and hopefully pick it up and add it to my collection. But it all depends on how the condition is, what the price is after all the tax exempts and everything, discounts like that. And I'm very excited because this is a 6850 Casablanca that I'm checking out. Circa 2006, that's when the papers and the boxes are. It's full kit, everything. And I've been looking for this watch for a while, so very excited to go see it here at, I don't know what this restaurant's called, but it's got all kind of skewers and rice and things like that. Yakitori, yakisoba, something like that. Anyways guys, follow me along my journey to go find this Franck Muller watch, and hopefully I will be one watch richer or poorer, one watch poorer by the end of the day. I wait to go catch the Shinkansen now. Hopefully it doesn't take a long time. Also known as the bullet train, the Shinkansen is the primary transportation connecting Tokyo to the Kansai region. I call this the heavenly jingle. Usually it indicates you've arrived at an exciting destination, but today we've got another 2 hours to go. Just got off the Shinkansen at Shinagawa station, and right now I got to take the JR line towards Takeda no Baba. What an interesting name. It feels great to be back in Tokyo. We've come full circle. I've got 2 more days to my vacation in Japan, and I guess you can call this either careful buying or procrastinating how I'm buying a watch at the very end of my trip. Having been to so many watch stores, I guess I could have easily picked up any watch. Or if I'm specific to a Franck Muller, I could have probably found the same reference model locally if I searched hard enough. So why am I going specifically to Tanashi? I actually found this Franck Muller online near the start of my Japan trip. It was the cheapest one worldwide. I messaged the seller and had asked to see the watch. Because of scheduling conflicts and a national holiday in the way, only today had worked. And since then, this appointment had been in the back of my mind, which may have played a role in deterring me from pulling the trigger on anything prior to this upcoming encounter. All in all, I guess it has also forced me to evaluate all the options before doing anything rash. Or irrash, something like that. Finally arrived at Tanashi after a nearly 4-hour train ride. I'm exhausted but pretty excited and nervous at the same time. It's been a while since I bought a watch in person. The last one being technically the Tudor Pelagos FXT, but also the Black Bay 58 is the only one that I've kept so far. Also, me not knowing the language could make this pretty interesting. I would like to make conversation with them and ask them about the history of the watch, what type of owner came before me if I was to buy the watch, and yeah, just overall get to know the watch and the seller a little better, although it is a brick and mortar store that has been around for I think 4 or 5 years. But let's go check it out. Thankfully, the store was only a 5-minute walk from the station. We had our luggages dragging behind us and are both pretty tired from the trip. With that said, I am here, I am ready, and I want to see that Franck Muller. I'm back at my hotel now, and did I end up buying the Franck Muller watch? No, I did not, and cheers to saving more money for probably a Rolex in my 30th, at my 30th birthday. Okay, so what happened? I took the Shinkansen from Kyoto to Shinagawa, and then took the JR line to Taki no Yababa, I think that's the name of the station, and then took another train from Takeda no Yobaba to Tanashi. And then from Tanashi, I walked 10 minutes. It was a 4-hour trip, not even a round trip, just 4-hour trip from Kyoto all the way to Tanashi. Now, the experience. So this is actually, now that I think about it, my first time ever buying a used watch in person. All my other purchases in the past, if it was a used watch, it was bought from eBay or Chrono24 or Marketplace. Like, I did meet up with the guy, but you're expecting the guy to be sketchy already because you found him on Marketplace. So it's different going to a secondary brick and mortar store where there's people working there full time. You get to interact with them. It's their stock, right? It's not like a personal asset, but it's their stock, their inventory. You can't haggle as hard. It's a lot of different factors compared to buying something online where it's like, number one, you look at the pictures. Number two, you read the seller's description. When was the watch acquired? When was it made? Any blemishes with it? Is it running properly? Any scratches? Things like that. What's the service history? And then it's your research on the seller. How reputable is it? Is it a private seller? Is it someone who owns a store? Is it, God knows, like a secondary owner, private seller, things like that. You guys get what I mean. This was completely different. Going to a store, and mind you, it wasn't meant to be a frontward facing store. Turuyako is more like a online retailer, I found. And this was just the office that they had. They were mostly operating online, and I guess if someone locally wants to come pick up a watch off Rakuten, for example, then they will come meet them here at the Turuya office. So, what didn't go right for me? There were two things that I accounted for. The 4-hour trip to the store, it wasn't a turn-off by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't a turn-on. It didn't add to the experience, but it didn't take away from it either. Now, as soon as we got into the store, it's a small store. There weren't anyone staffing the counter. We went in, my girl and I had to be like, hello, because I don't know what the Japanese equivalent of saying, hey, is anyone there, is. And then about 15 seconds after, a lady came out from the back. She was smiling, she was friendly. She asked me what I wanted. I told them I have an appointment for 4:45 to view this Franck Muller Casablanca 6850. She then took down my name, and then she went back, asked me to wait. Another lady came out about 30 to 45 seconds afterwards, and she let me and my girl into this room immediately after the office. Now, pretty much the office was 3 doors. You had the counter, and then there's a door behind the counter. There's a door beside that, and then there's another door to, I don't know what it looks like, but it looks like the back office. And this room that we were let into was this, it felt like an interview room. It was not furnished. There were wooden chairs, nice wooden, sorry, not chair, nice wooden table and 4 chairs. And then there was a camera at the very corner. And other than that, the room was blank. It really felt like you're getting interviewed. We sat there for 5 minutes waiting for something to happen. Who knows? Like maybe the watch will, like part of the table will open up, the watch will come out, something crazy like that. But no, we were early, so I think they were just caught in the middle of something, waiting for it to be actually 4:45 to come out. A couple minutes after, a gentleman and a lady came out. The gentleman was holding a tray with the Franck Muller on it. The lady came out with the box and the papers and I don't know what else, a calculator she did. I got hands-on with the watch then. And I don't know if it's because the sterile, the very surgical lighting that was shining on it. It was this deadly white light. There was no like warm lighting that you guys are seeing here in the background. The watch just I felt like there was a lack of charm with how it was presented. So that's the first thing. And I flipped it over, and then I saw that the case back had an interesting thing that I should have caught, because I went back to the pictures and the pictures showed it clearly, but I guess getting hands-on with it is different than seeing it in pictures. Now, what was this issue that I'm talking about here? Franck Muller Casablanca's case back is tightened by 4 screws. The top right screw, it seemed to be newer than the rest, and also it was screwed slightly higher up, like it wasn't screwed in as much as the other ones. Now, I do know that the watch has been overhauled by their in-house watchmaker. And so I know for a fact that the watch has been opened up before. And it's a good thing because, God, I do not want to get a Franck Muller service. And I know I can probably take it to any watch tech that can serve as an ETA movement, but just in case, I want the watch to be fully functional, keeping time plus minus 5 seconds within COSC standards before I take possession of it. So I asked him, like, hey, are all the screws original? Because how come this one shines a lot brighter than the other ones, and also it's not screwed as tightly as in? The guy picked it up, looked at it, he's like, no, this looks fine. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So that's one kind of semi-red, not red flag, but like a yellow card for me, hearing that response from the person. And so I continued to inspect the watch. I flipped it around, looked at the case back. The case back had a scratch on it, which was expected because I saw it on the listing. It was also mentioned in the description as well. I flipped it to the side. There was a scratch there too. Again, as mentioned in the listing, nothing to question about there. I then asked them for the price. Now, I am in Japan right now. Okay, it was listed for 3,370 Canadian on Rakuten, on Chrono24. That was the original price. I asked them what the price is, expecting number one, there to be a discount because of tax exemption. If you guys don't know, if you're a foreign tourist to Japan and you come here with your passport and you're shopping, you should be able to get a tax exemption of 10% on anything over 5,500 yen, which in Canadian terms is like $55. And so I was expecting a 10% discount from the listing price of Rakuten, plus maybe they can kick me like a fee, right? Because I know that these sellers, when they sell on Chrono, when they sell on Rakuten, they gotta pay the platform like 1.5% to 5% in some cases. And so I was like, hey, what's the price? Guy typed in his calculator, showed it to me, and I had to do a double take. I was like, is this wrong? Because the price he was showing me was higher than what Rakuten has listed. I was like, okay, is this including the tax-free price? And he's like, yes, it's everything included. I'm like, okay, interesting. And then so I was like, give me 1 second, went on my phone, showed him the Rakuten listing, and asked him, look, your price is higher than this, like what are we doing here, right? In polite terms. And he was like, oh, sorry, like this is our best price with the tax exemption. I'm like, okay, interesting, cool. So then I went back, looked at the watch. I then looked at the paper. He showed me the paper. He's like, look, the paper's right here. You have a Franck Muller guarantee card right here. You have the Franck Muller big leather box right here. So I looked through all of them, knowing that it's not really gonna make much of a difference, but just feel like I should be doing something right now, you know, while I think about trying to take in everything that was happening in that little interview room. And after looking through all the accessories, I then picked up the watch and I was like, I'm thinking like, okay, the screw is one thing. I'm like 50-50 on this watch right now. If you tell me you can do better on the price, I'll think about picking it up. But I was like, so like this price here is firm, right? It's like 3,300, right? And plus, you guys understand, 3,300, you take it to the airport, you try to bring it to Canada, you get another like 20%, 15 to 20% on top of that. Completely not worth it for me. I'd rather just go somewhere locally if I can source one in Canada, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to know, is this the final best price? And he looked at the lady who's sitting beside him, said something in Japanese. Lady looked back at him, and then they're like, yep, it's unfortunately the final price. And I feel like he had the sense of like, oh, I'm sorry, this is the best price we can do. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you so much. I'll think about it. I'll text you back if I'm interested in buying. And then I did one of these, and then I walked out of the shop carrying all my luggages, my girl behind me. And after that experience, I don't regret it. I felt pretty relieved leaving the shop and knowing that I didn't purchase this watch, because even though I love the Franck Muller Casablanca 6850, it's a quirky watch, it's a funky watch, and it's definitely something that is off the beaten path. I do still want to eventually add this watch, this exact one with the blacked out with the white text, into my collection, but I think I'll just wait for another time.
Thank you for watching to the end. I know, I expected me to end up with a Franck Muller as well. As compensation for your time and interest, here is a burger joint I visited near the Kyoto Aquarium. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Catch out when I'm back in Vancouver.